Welcome to the Simmons Sporting Goods All Things Hunting Podcast, brought to you by Browning Firearms, the best there is, Realtree Outdoors, Swarovski Optic, Browning Ammo, and Banded Wares. Here's your host, Caleb Wallace, Cole Barthel, and Kyle Bearfield.
When you separate this, will we each be on our own
channel?
I need some help because somehow trying to figure mine out, everybody's always on the same channel.
On the same channel.
And me and Daniel tore that thing apart trying to figure out how to separate those again, and we can't get it separated.
It's too many buttons for
Well,
you.
I'll be dead honest with you. We plugged it in, put the card in, hit record, and everybody's on separate channels.
Kyle don't know how to use it either. He just pretends like he does.
Everybody was on separate channels. I do know they're on separate channels because I edit, because I have to do some level changing.
And it's when I'm too loud or Dennis is too loud or he coughs in there like that.
Yeah.
If I'm talking when he coughs, I'm screwed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because everybody's on the same channel.
Cole will sit here and he'll go to adjust his mic, and I swear he'll we're like, Cole, stop.
Yeah, don't touch your mic, Cole.
Don't touch your mic, Cole. Don't touch your mic, Cole. Cole, stop touching your mic.
That's hilarious.
So I don't have one of these. I got the cheap version, and they all plugged in this little thing with another little cord.
Well, that's probably.
And Dennis, you watch him here during this podcast, he gonna be up here he'll probably grab your cord. He fidgets with the other. And
just don't touch your mic, or we'll have to start calling you Cole.
Oh Lord. Oh, poor Cole.
He ain't even here to defend himself.
No, y'all picking on it.
He's doing work, moving deer stands.
Defend himself, we'd be messing with him.
Have you heard what he's doing right now?
Yeah.
Has he told you the plan? Like he's got one stand back here that they're gonna pick up, and they're gonna move to where this stand is. Then this stand is gonna be picked up and moved to where this stand is. Then this stand is gonna be picked up and hauled all the way across the farm over here. So
He rented a lull to do this with. I figure.
Yeah.
He's going to ruin at least 2 deer stands.
The stands are going in the same places that there's already stands. He just wants different stands there.
Just take the one and
put it way on the other side. You just got to move one stand.
You don't ask questions.
Don't ask questions.
You just
don't ask
questions.
All
right. We'll be there at 3 o'clock. We'll have you.
That's hilarious.
Y'all will get to witness it. Y'all staying down at the camp.
You may kick us off?
Yes, sir.
kick what off?
Podcast.
I thought we already started.
We were. There's always a little preview before the intro.
Yeah. Anything you say stupid in the mic that you think Kyle's not going to put in there, he's going to put it in there. Every time.
As long as it's not going to get us in trouble, we'll put it in there. Sometimes it gets us in trouble.
I like it. I do the same thing.
Heck yeah. So. All right, we're back at the Simmons Sporting Goods All Things Hunting Podcast. Got some special guests here today. We've been doing a little teal hunting this morning. Had a good morning. Killed some blue rockets, and I'm the only one not dressed in camo because I busted my ass coming out. And
Caleb went swimming this morning.
Covered in buckshot mud, and I had to take a little shower before I come to work. So
I hollered at him across the reservoir, man down. I seen him go down.
I made it all the way out there, made it through the entire hunt. Coming out, I'm 3 feet from the bank, and I fall. I mean.
Well, you was pack mule.
To defend myself, I did have 2 shotguns, my stool, my bag, all the ducks. And
we zip-tied ducks to your belt.
And I had a thing of decoys there. So
anywhere you could have something, you had it on the way out.
As if I'm not weighted down enough already without anything.
And that water wasn't the cleanest water we was hunting in today.
No, that's what I just told Kyle. I had to put a towel after I got home and got a shower. I had to put a towel in my seat of my truck to come back up here.
There's going to be moss growing on that seat by this afternoon.
My wife will be real happy about that bath towel I pulled out and put in the truck, too, to come up here.
You probably just better off throwing it away and going to Walmart.
She's got one of my cards linked to her Amazon account. I'll probably be buying new towels. Ain't no biggie. No biggie.
Because that black mud, I don't care how much you wash it, it's never coming out.
The best thing to do, honestly, is let it dry and then take a paint scraper or something to scrape it off. I'm serious.
True.
You're probably right.
You should see Cole, because Cole is kind of the glue to that whole Realtree duck lease out there. He kind of scouts and guides and, get people from airport and whatever. And I mean, this is September. It's pretty dry out there right now. December, you can imagine what it's like out there. Cole will come in. He's just got dried mud all over his hands and his knuckles and his wrists and his elbows. And
it's the worst, muddiest place in the history of America. Like I call the place Muddy Break.
Right.
It's not Honey Break, but it's Muddy Break. And from where we have to park we can't drive to the lodge. There's a little camp house on it. But most of the time during duck season, you can't drive there. Like, you will get stuck.
Oh, yeah.
So
how you get in there?
There's a barn about
tractor
a
shed.
mile and a half tractor shed away. We park all the trucks and vehicles there, and you take four-wheelers. You can't even get there on a side-by-side sometimes.
You can't.
You have to. It takes a bad four-wheeler to get to the camp and then to the duck blinds. And that's the hardest problem about that whole deal is shuffling people around sometimes when we got customers in there. But my four-wheeler right now, we break the axles in the mud or something like it. After that season, it's like $1,000 bill.
You
Fix
just
that
need
four-wheeler.
your Camp Pro drive down there.
There's just not enough water. Now, if we could
Really?
run
I mean,
the flume ditches everywhere, it'd be
The
perfect.
only thing that I know of that you could get around out there successfully, not tear anything up, is a helicopter.
Yeah. Bad to the bone. but
Well, if
good
you land
hunting.
it in that black mud, you might not get it back up.
No.
You may not.
Because my boots were sticking to it like glue.
Oh, yeah.
It was bad. You
If
couldn't
I-
stand in one spot very long, or you were
That's
stuck.
right.
You got to
Well,
get
I
your
sat
feet
on
moving.
I sat on my slew stool this morning. When you sit on your slew stool, it's going to sink down a little bit before it catches. But it kept going and going and going. I was like, dang, we may end up just leaving this thing in here if it keeps going down.
Be bass structure.
That's right.
Wicked Blend from Browning, the ultimate in waterfowl ammunition, featuring the Wicked Wad system. Aerodynamically stabilized for greater downrange energy and extra knockdown power. Loaded with precision bismuth and plated steel shot that delivers high energy retention with consistent tight patterns for cleaner kills and easy retrieves. Wicked Blend from Browning, the best there is.
Welcome back to the Simmons Sporting Goods All Things Hunting Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Spy Point Cell Cams. And the hunt is on here at Simmons Sporting Goods. Spy Point got a smoking deal on the front page of the flyer, along with several other good deals. If you aren't on the mailing list and don't have a flyer in your mailbox or on your coffee table, you can click the link at SimmonsSportingGoods.com along with several other social media places, and you can actually sign up for our emailing list and our mailing list on our website, SimmonsSportingGoods.com. But going through, I see you flipping pages, Kyle. What you get?
Yeah. I'm looking here at the Spy Point page, and they've got a brand new camera called the Flex Cell camera. We've used the Link cells. We've used the Link with the solar, what they call the Link Micro Solar Cellular camera. But we haven't used the Flex Cell cam yet, but heard a lot of good things about it. I'll tell you one thing too, if you're in an area that doesn't have good cell service, like everywhere we hunt, it seems like, Spy Point has that long range cellular antenna, and we've used it on some cameras and get some funny videos of us climbing way up in there in the tree with that long cord. But it does make a difference. It gives you service and may help you kill a deer that you wouldn't normally kill. But good stuff. I like using the lithium battery packs in my cameras because you may pay for a camera and it not cost that much, but then over time your AA batteries will eat your lunch. So some of these cameras offer that Lit 10 rechargeable lithium battery pack for $64.99 here at the store.
I get to thinking about turkey season. It won't be long. You'll be sending me. Kyle won't give me the dang password to the Spy Point out in Texas. He'll send me teaser pictures now and then, and then
right.
He'll send me one at night, and I'll be like, dang, a bunch of big longbeards in there this evening, and I'll be sitting there the next morning, like, wonder what's there this morning. Texting Kyle, hey, you looked at Spy Point today? And then he'll just ghost me. He won't text back for like a day and a half. He'll be like, man, there was a Jake. Half the time I don't believe him, but it's it definitely brings some excitement to the hunt, and whether you're doing deer or turkey or pigs, or watching. Another thing I've used Spy Point for is watching a hog trap.
That's right.
watching a bear tear up your feet or
Oh,
anything else
man.
like that. But
We did get that. You sent that picture this year, that bear knocking over that figure.
heck yeah,
Golly.
that was tough. But anyways, Spy Point, check the Spy Point page out and all the deals while the hunt is on. And continuing on here,
That's right.
we're gonna get into a little duck hunting here. Dennis, you said y'all will start around the 15th of November. Is that right?
Well, we'll start. Texas and the southern states will open up probably. They'll open up around the 12th, and we'll get started then for sure. And of course, our travel. Normally we go up north a lot, but our travel is going to be reduced. We're going to stay in the south most of this year and see what we can make happen. Usually at that time we're in the Dakotas or somewhere up north, a little bit further up north. But this year we just elected again just to hang around here and do the openers in the south.
There you go.
I think that's a good idea. So, we're kind of same deal. Last year I went with Mojo to Canada hunt, but we're not going this year. We're going to try deer hunt a little more, mule deer hunt. But then when duck season hits here, we're going to try to stay closer to home if we can, Lord willing, and the ducks come in.
I will say, I made my first Oklahoma duck hunt last year and had Cole and Calico lease up there, and that was fast and furious. That was fun.
Yeah, that's when the ducks are there, we go to get even with them from from the stuff that y'all have to do, and we've done a little bit on our own, and even down here at the lease, it's not public land by any means, and it's not as near as tough, but sometimes these ducks down here, they're educated. Y'all talk about their Ivy League ducks.
They are Ivy League ducks.
Especially by the time they get here. So, but when they're in Oklahoma, coming in, we're hunting those tanks or ponds. When they're there and you scout them and they're there, they're there. You leave your duck calls in the truck.
Oh, yeah.
And so we go to get even with them there.
That's what Cole said when we were in Oklahoma. I come out of camp, got all my stuff on, got my calls around my neck. He said, "What are you doing with your duck calls?" I said, "We're going duck hunting." He said, "Hey, don't blow your duck calls." I was like, "Why not?" He's like, "They're coming anyway. You blow your duck calls, you make them circle. You make them circle again. He said, just if you want to wear them for the picture, that's fine, but don't blow those duck calls."
That's funny.
10-4.
Hey, that ain't a private thing. There's some guys on public I'd rather not have them blow their duck calls sometimes. He's locked up. He's just about to hit the spread. What made you blow that thing?
Yeah.
Or it ain't
gonna get no better.
Just made a swing. He's going to try to get his bearings and get set up in the wind, all that, and somebody turns him too soon, and then he's got to make another big swing.
And Rusty Creasy actually just texted me. What does Rusty Creasy always say? Don't turn my ducks.
Yeah.
I call the shots and don't turn my ducks too early.
That's right.
That's funny.
Talk about that some, Billy. You're talking about public land and somebody. It's got to be a challenge. You guys are very successful public land hunters, but you're in a hole, and you usually probably got another group not too far from you, huh? And
all the time.
You're kind of maybe working the same group of ducks, and I'm sure you get some people do some sky busting. And
Dennis has done a good job over the years. Hey, let off. Because, Dennis is great in every aspect of the hunt. But over the years, we've kind of honed in on what each of us do best ourselves. And a lot of times I'll be left finished. If me and Dennis are just hunting, he going to be quick to make sure we make a good shot. He going to call that shot. He's going to make sure it's where it needs to be. I spend more time, and that's kind of my thing. He's also the scouting guy. I like working birds back and forth, and I'll call them, and I'll be a little later to the gun, and he'll be sure and kind of guide me through those situations. And over the years, he's been really good about winning ducks. And you got a guy, maybe they set up too close, or maybe they just in the next hole. A lot of times those birds, even though those guys are a fair distance away and everything's square, they right between us, and they try and decide which way to go. And obviously on public, it's very competitive at that point.
Sure.
He has done a great job over the years saying, look, hold on. Shut it down, because they'll be drifting that way, and those guys have an opportunity to work those birds. And he likes to give them that opportunity.
Respect for your fellow hunter, and you hope that they do the same for you.
And it doesn't always work out that way. But when it does, and if we do that early at his direction, a lot of times good folks over there.
They recognize that.
They do recognize it. And, hey, did you hear that? You didn't hear no calling when we worked them birds.
Yeah.
And the next group, we're going to probably be more aggressive, and we want to get that next opportunity.
Right.
And hopefully, like you said, they do the same thing. Doesn't always work out that way, but you hope by doing that enough that it'll catch on, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's at the end of the day. If you can get out there and get one opportunity, work a good group of ducks on public land, I mean, that can make your day.
That's right.
Especially down
That's
here.
right. Yeah.
I don't know if Dennis shoots like he did this morning. One group ain't going to do you much good.
I could tell you. I am not going to make excuses. When you shoot bad, you shoot bad, but it's it's a little different, you know.
It is.
I don't think I had the right combination far as teal hunting goes today, but it cost me. Especially it shows up when the guy's at the end. You know what I mean?
That's right.
If you're in the middle, you're pretty much hidden.
Yeah.
It's always the guys at the end's fault. So
me and Cole and Kyle too kind of set you up for failure there with those few singles come buzzing through. We're like, hey, we'll let them on that other end shoot. We'll let them go right past us. So we may have set you up for that one there. Threw you a bad alley-oop.
Oh well, it there's really no excuse to shoot that bad, but it happens. You know, just like everybody else, you have good days, you have bad days, and it was
what's really funny
one of
about
those
it,
bad days.
If that had been mallards in a hole, he'd still be pouting. But that's the cool thing about dove and teal season for us, and especially me hunting with him. He pretty much lets that run off his back.
That's
you
right.
know?
Right.
And it's a good time you can pick at him. But I can promise you, if that happened with mallards, I wouldn't look, I wouldn't say nothing, because he.
You know it's serious.
Oh, I'm telling you.
There ain't no joking about that.
No, it ain't. And he's a really good shot. But that's the cool thing about these early seasons. They give us a great opportunity to. We're not the best at spending time shooting trap or skeet or throughout the season. I know you guys at this store stay really busy, and
we do.
This is working family season. Duck hunting gets here. You need, that's your opportunity to get out and enjoy some stuff like that. And so we don't probably work as much as we should on stuff like that. So dove season, teal season, great warm-up opportunity.
Knock the rust off. And
that's right. Just have a good time, poke fun at each other, and, enjoy it.
Sweat.
Yeah, and to follow up on Billy's deal too, a lot of times too, what we like to do on public ground, what I ask of our group is, even though you got a wood duck or maybe you got a teal that's flying by, and you got a group next to you are working those mallards. I mean, is it really worth that one duck? You got
to ruin them.
Yeah, because they might have an opportunity of a volley. Yeah. So that's just one of those things that we're trying to pass on, is just that respect thing. Just kind of pay attention to your neighbor. And sometimes, in some cases, that you can't – there's holes already cut out, right? And people are hunting in those areas, and some holes are closer than others. It's just that there again, what he was talking about earlier, you just got to learn how to work together some. And it makes it more enjoyable for everybody. And, you're going to win some and you're going to lose some.
And that don't mean you can't be when them birds are up, everybody trying to draw them in, right?
Right.
Hey, we're going to try to be just as competitive as the next guy.
But if you see them commit to somebody nearby and hold off, give them a shot, give them an opportunity to get them in there.
I mean, we like to concede a little earlier, and again, like you talked about, just kind of hopefully it works both ways.
Right. And it has a lot.
It has.
More than not, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I just think some guys, they do pick up on it, and I think honestly, I think it's growing to be that way on public ground. I think public ground is getting better each and every day. I think if you're that guy that hunts public and you're focused on numbers, you're going to get frustrated and you're going to end up quitting. So the thing is, don't focus on the numbers. As we say, always focus on the journey, and you'll have better success rate as well on top of that, because then you're not so focused on the number. You're focused on a good time. You're going to relax more. And you're still going to have that competitive edge, like he said. You don't lose that, but you got to learn how to control it and quit worrying about the numbers.
I mean, and people ask, you can overanalyze anything.
Right.
You and what you do at this store, you understand that.
I do overanalyze stuff all the time.
But when you get into your hobbies, when you get into your passion, like we are with duck hunting, and he's more competitive than I am. We're both very competitive. I used to keep spreadsheets, man.
Yeah.
you know, I managed a bunch of folks at work, and spreadsheets was a big part of what I did at the job, and I kind of carried that into waterfowl hunting. I could tell you what day, what the weather, the barometric pressure, what kind of ducks we shot, how many of them, where we shot them, and it got to a point over a course of years, because a lot of people, like, you know, Justin Martin's a great dude, and he did a really interesting sit-down YouTube deal last year or the year before where he talked about how he keeps these complex spreadsheets. And we did that, but at some point, we got to a point where you so locked into those numbers, and you might get to a deal where we hunted this in this exact weather last year and we killed 0. There ain't even no sense in us going today.
Right,
Well,
right.
if you don't know if you don't go.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know when exactly it was, but eventually I just threw all that out. That was never his deal. It was kind of my deal on the side, and it was nice to have that information, but get to a point where you just throw it all out. You know what? I do this because I enjoy it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to beat it up and overanalyze that stuff. We're going to go, and we're going to figure out what it is today, because it'd be that one day on your spreadsheet that said, this is the weather, this is the location. You ain't killing nothing today. We go out there and shoot a limit
they are.
in 25 minutes. Ducks still going to be ducks.
Yeah. But we're talking about that, like for somebody that is not a really maybe experienced hunter, or even experienced hunter that's always wanting to learn, if you would just take some general rules of thumb for waterfowl hunting to increase your odds, you know, like for example, you know, bluebird day, you can hide better than a cloudy day. You know, what are a couple things you would tell somebody listening that just may help them out?
And you're talking in reference to numbers.
Or just having
Killing
success
ducks.
killing a duck, you know, or numbers, or
I would think the most important for a new guy getting in is don't be scared to make mistakes.
right.
Because you're going to make mistakes all the time. You're going to flare more ducks than you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to learn from the mistakes. Pay attention to your calling. Try to learn your best decoy setups. Don't be, you know, not afraid to be thinking out of the box. You don't have to do the U, the V, or anything like that. We try stuff new all the time. And on top of that, if you do have the opportunity to go with an experienced guy, just sit back and watch and learn. Ask questions. Be involved in everything. Listen how he calls and ask him why, how he called, when he called, what was the reason for that. You're not going to get on an experienced guy's nerves, because most of them want to help you out, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
But when you're on your own, just don't be scared of making mistakes. Don't focus on those numbers. Focus on trying to get better. Read those ducks. Read the wing speed when you're blowing a certain way, and maybe try not blowing at all. Or maybe you have to get aggressive. Whatever you got to do, just don't be scared to make a mistake, and don't be frustrated when you flare a bunch of them out, because it's going to happen. We do it all the time still. You know, each group of ducks comes in. Sometimes, you know, sometimes we like for them to react the same, but most of the time that they don't. So we have to adjust on the fly, and the quicker you can pick things up, the quicker you can start reading those ducks, the better hunter you're going to be.
And I would add to that you're absolutely right. When I think that, sometimes I may become a little impatient, because I want to do this, I want to call that bird down, I want my decoys to track that bird to my location. But what he finished up there with is watch, you know, read them like he's talking about, take in everything that's going on out there, and I think that's where patience comes in. I think more often than not, your younger guys, one, they're looking at social media, they see dead ducks on a picture, and it don't matter if that's private, where that is, how long that guy's been hunting. All they're thinking is, I need to go out and kill this many ducks too. I get out here, what am I going to do? I want to kill ducks. I could overcall. You have a tendency probably to do so much that you're hurting yourself.
Right.
So what he finished that with is paying attention to that. I think if you apply patience in those situations, the more you understand, and you guys understand this a lot. I mean, deer hunting ain't no different. The more you learn about what you're trying to harvest, the more you understand how they react.
Right.
The better hunter and the more success you're going to find. You know, so.
Oh, yeah. Come by Simmons Sporting Goods and check out the new models of the X-Bolt rifle from Browning, the best there is. Now back to the Simmons Sporting Goods All Things Hunting Podcast.
So Dennis does a great job and has for a very long time of just understanding and reading ducks. And whether it's time sitting at a roost and listening and learning how to call, watching how those birds take those turns that you were talking about earlier. And I mean, there's just so many things you can learn just by paying attention. Yeah. If you run them ducks off quick, you ain't learning nothing.
Yeah, he's this morning. We had an example of we had a pintail that was working us pretty good. We had no wind this morning at all. Sun hadn't really come up yet, and his pintail, he's working, and then he decides where he's going to land. And right before he hits the water, he says,
and this is nowhere around us.
Nowhere near us. He's probably 100 yards out.
Yeah, or further. He picks up. Dennis reaches, Kyle, you think that duck picked up? And I said, I wasn't really paying attention to him. I said, I guess he looked over here and seen us, and then, but everything, we talk about it too, hunting, no matter what you do, it's always some sort of a science experiment. So you have a hypothesis where you like, I think this happened because of this. And so then, and you don't necessarily know the answer of the theory, but
right.
But Dennis says, he goes, I think he saw his reflection in the water at the last second. And it makes sense.
I've never thought about that, but it makes perfect sense.
Right, he comes down. They're not used to seeing it. And, the reason I kind of pay attention to that, because you ever see a dog look at themselves in the mirror sometimes?
Yeah.
They bristle up.
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden he gets down close enough to the water, he actually sees something moving in the water, which is himself. And to me, he probably didn't relate that it was him and flared back up because that water is just like a perfect mirror.
Oh, when you said that, I looked down and like there's my smiling face looking right back at me. It kind of scared me a little bit.
Right. So, and I don't know, and that's what I was telling you. I don't know if that's a real reason, but that to me, I just, I think about things when we're out in the woods like that. I think about when I see how animals react, and to follow up with the question earlier too is the number one thing too is when you have an opportunity to scout. You can learn a whole lot from just sitting and watching. If you do more scouting than you do hunting, it's going to increase your success rate too. And knowing when you're scout, answer questions. How many guys you got with you? How they're going to set up? Where are you going to set up? Is the wind blowing out of the south today you're scouting? Well, the next day the wind changed out of the north. Know how you're going to set up on that hole, because it's a lot easier to make those decisions in the daylight than it is with a group of guys at 4:30 in the morning. Right. So answering a lot of those questions will increase your success rate. And sitting there and watching those ducks, just don't go in there and just look at them for about 5 or 10 minutes. He'll tell you, I'll sit there all day, 2 or 3 hours, watching the same group of birds, because I want to know things. I want to know how they fly in, which way the wind directions are going. Right. And then if you also watch, they also tell you how confident they are. And confidence is a lot. So are those same birds coming in and they circling 4 or 5 times before they're going in the hole? Or are they not even circling?
Check, just
bombing. And it'll tell you the confidence rate. So if they're circling a lot and you got live ducks on the water, that's going to tell you concealment's going to be the number one key to have success that next day. Right. If they're dive bombing in there, then, like we was talking about earlier, just put that call up, just hide real good, and they're coming in. So they'll tell you what they're looking for if you just pay attention to them.
Right. And like if you were going to set up on a hole somewhere, you want to see where those ducks are actually hitting.
I want to see how they're hitting and what wind direction they're hitting it in, because it could change the next day. So you got to figure out that, hey, they're going to use this hole, but how are they going to use it? And that's a guess game there. That's going to take experience and a little bit of time, and and like I said, you can't don't be scared to fail. You might it might not be the best setup, and normally on public ground you don't have that advantage, but I don't like setting up on any hole when the sun is in my face. Right. I hate it. It's the worst setup possible. I love setting up on the west side if I possibly can, or close to the west side, so that sun's,
But you do have that occasional time where you don't have a choice, right?
That's right.
Right. But I like sitting up on the east side, so the sun's behind my back.
Sure.
It creates a great height, and when it comes up, it does create a shadow. And, of course, on a cloudy day, like Kyle said, you don't have that advantage anyways.
That's right.
But, just thinking of things like that, is it going to be bluebird? Is it going to be cloudy? How good is the cover? Well, maybe the cover's not so good. Maybe that wind direction's changing, and that's not so good. And if you can, just like a deer hunter would, the wind's not right, I'm not going in there right now. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to wait. We're going to wait for this wind, and then, bam, go back and check it, make sure nobody else has shot it out, and then you can go back and hunt it. But, all that on public ground's a chance. We've done it several times, and it's paid off for us. Nobody's using those holes, and we've been lucky like that over the years.
Yeah. If you're listening and you don't quite know about wind direction and ducks and things, general rule of thumb is duck's going to light into the wind. If you think about a hard tailwind would crash him down in the water. He don't want that. He wants to be able to control his landing and stuff. So they're going to set up. They're going to set up against the wind and come into the hole.
Just like a plane would.
That's right.
I could count on one hand that we had this one situation, we were doing this in this old mallard drake, and it was a pretty good wind. And they all swing out and light into the wind right in our face, just like we're talking about. That's the way he set it up. That's the way he planned it. This booger bear, he come behind us. And there was one little point where we thought we might lose him back here, because when we do lose him, we were losing him off the back that day.
Right.
And we both just hammered on it, and he turned immediately, came in backwards, and then flipped around right in the hole, and it plopped right down on the water.
Yeah.
But you could count on one hand. You won't forget stuff like that, but you could count on one hand when that happens.
Yeah.
He was missing the party.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, whoa,
Got it fired up, boy."
A lot of times, too, on duck calling is, to me, is you got to find that certain tone. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Maybe one day it's a raspy hen. One day it might be a high-pitched hen. When you're learning how to blow a duck call, of course, you want to learn to, like all the experts say, run a cadence, and you want to do your feeder call and all that. But once you learn that cadence, be able to pitch at different tones on that thing.
Yeah.
I'm tone deaf, but I can do different pitches. You know what I mean?
Right.
But Billy does a real good job of that, doing that, changing it up a little bit, maybe doing a little higher, a little lower, and then on feed call is, he'll do a great job of, if it needs to be a little quicker, he reads the ducks, or if he needs to slow it down and just do some pecks, and then it's a, it might be tick, 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 then you go to a tuk, 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 just kind of changing it up like that. So just recognizing what they like. So.
And that could change, and it doesn't mean once you figure it out one day, about the time you think you figured it out, tomorrow going to be different.
That's right.
You got to start all over.
I don't know how many times we'll have a couple hunts in a row, man, and everything's just clicking, and the next day I'll be the first to tell him I just ran that duck out of here.
Yep.
Same thing I did with the last group.
Yeah.
I just ran, as soon as just turned them out. Yeah.
You can, and you got to pay attention to stuff. It's like
That's right.
like bass fishing. If you get a bite on.
I was walking
something.
back in here for my truck, and I thought, I don't know why, but this random thought came to my head, and it was, fishing's gonna come up in this podcast today.
Well, the young lady at the front brought it up who won, and so of course, Billy being somewhat of a tournament ex-fisherman or whatever.
That's not even the only thing is Billy has fished his entire life. I have spent more time fishing than anything else I've done in my life.
And he's got this Simmons Sporting Goods here. He's got all kinds of selections on these fishing lures down here. I bet he spent an hour going through all y'all selections.
If you listen,
he's a professional tackle shopper. I'll give him that.
Yeah. So Cole, we staying at Cole's place.
Right.
He's got some just old lures on the back there.
Right.
So
some 3.
About 3. I picked one of those. Just one. I said, this is going to be the lure.
And
right
that's your gear right there. One lure.
I took one lure.
He never changed lure.
Just a white double, spinnerbait.
Old school, like something you seen back when I was a kid. That's what I fished a lot when I was a kid, but I fished ponds and lakes, small private stuff.
Sure.
Not even a willow blade, just a round oval blade. So
we kept score. So the landowner that gave us permission to fish, he says, y'all can fish it, but you keep everything under 14 or inches less. You throw it back.
If it's over.
If it's over 14,
if
throw
it's
it
over,
back.
and if it's under, you keep it and eat it.
Yeah.
So we changed up the scoring system since he said that. So 2 points for the eater, 1 point to throw it back.
That should have been an indication to me right away that the cheat mode is already set in. Because we even videoed the rules, and we're not even climbing in the boat yet. And
Well,
Dr. Cheat over here is already changing the rules.
No, the landowner changed the rules on it because we weren't expecting that.
We weren't expecting to be able to keep any, right?
Yeah, we weren't expecting to keep any. So to me, it's worth more points if you can keep any.
If you can fillet that dude, heck yeah, I think so too.
If you could put it on the table, it's worth more, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, size is out the door. So if it can go on the table, it's 2 points. If you got to throw it back, you're only going to get 1.
That's it.
Well, we beat them almost like we doubled their scores, more or less like 50 to 25.
Might as well have been 100.
You might as well be.
That's the first. As soon as Kyle got in my truck at 5 o'clock this morning, he said, "Man, me and Dennis smoked them yesterday." And I was like, it's early. I'm still about half asleep. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "The fishing tournament we did." I was like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "Who's y'all?" He's like, "Man, He said, "Me and Billy split." He said, and Billy had Matt and I had Dennis. He said, and we beat them by over double what they had.
Oh yeah, both of them had all new lures. Matt bought him some new stuff in here, and so it was very satisfying to come out of there with a big W.
Yeah, I almost missed my turn to the duck hole listening to Kyle talk about the beat down on the fishing.
There it is. It wasn't just a victory. It was a beat down.
You got to redeem yourself today.
I plead the fifth. That
You
fool
gotta-
caught more fish in the last 2 days than he's caught his entire life.
When I was a kid, we fished a lot. We didn't have nothing much else to do in the summertime.
You talking about thinking outside the box with the ducks. There's a little live bait store down the road here, a little convenience
Got
store,
any
got live
goldfish?
bait. Well, they got crickets, cold worms, and shiners. You may ought to go get them all
I
and
get them all.
get you a bag of Levi Garrett, spit on every one of them before it goes in the
See,
water and
now
all that good
see,
stuff.
he a thinker. Even in the blind today, he talking about attaching grills to blinds, and I knew right away.
Hey,
Caleb on Team Campbell over here.
So when I was a kid, we didn't grow up anything fancy. We were poor, so that's all we had was 2 or 3 lures. And after we got through fishing, that was our swimming pool.
Yeah.
So we would fish until it got
That's right.
hot, and then we'd jump in and go swimming, and then we swim the rest of the day, and so till our feet got webbed, and it was time to leave. And then we'd go to so-and-so's pond and do the same thing. We'd fish that thing, catch our fish that morning, and then by lunchtime we'd jumping in, we swimming the rest of the afternoon until it got dusk. Then we'd head home with our fishing poles. That's the way we did it.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I got nothing to say.
That was all training for yesterday's tournament.
It was.
That's it.
It was.
I
The
got
only thing we didn't do, we didn't go swimming afterwards.
I know.
I got nothing. I wanted to make you go swimming afterwards, but
Oh, I loved it. Because all I hear all the time is how good of a fisherman he was or is, and I just had to highlight it for him. But every
I mean,
dog
you
has
can't
their
even
day.
get him to go ever, and he
He's
just
been holding-
walks out there, throws one.
When you grow up and you fish those ponds, there's fish in them. You catch them. You know what I mean. You go out to these lakes. It's kind of like duck hunting. It's pretty stiff competition. To me, I just don't enjoy throwing my arm socket out to catch 1 or 2 fish.
No,
sometimes.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm into catching.
I'm with you.
If
on
I'm
that.
gonna go fishing, I want to catch. I'm not into fishing. I'm really not. So the last 2 days, that's what it's all about. It's about catching for me when it comes to fish.
Well, you're going to catch 5 of these knuckles in the jaw if it keeps going this direction.
Now I can sit out there all day and not shoot a duck or shoot 1 duck. That doesn't bother me. I just don't know how my patience works when it comes to fishing. If we haven't caught something in the first 15 minutes, I'm gone.
And I'll be honest with you, that's kind of, and maybe it's my fault, but that's kind of how I envisioned it going. Climb on him quick. He'll fold up like a $2 lawn chair. He'd be done. I ain't catching it. I'm done with it. Throw the pole down, be out. Easy dub. And it just, from the first cast he threw, I bet he caught 6 in a row. I mean, just from the get-go, it's like, oh, this ain't. And my partner, he didn't let me down. We were, we probably even throughout. Neither one of us just could. We had a little stretch there. We made a little comeback when it was early, and after that, y'all put all 4 feet on the gas pedal, baby, and I didn't see y'all's taillights again.
We was pulling doubles, and if I wasn't catching one, Kyle was catching one. It was like they never got a break. Neither one of us really hit a cold spot because we was pulling doubles out, and then I'd catch one. I'd throw about 4 or 5 times, wouldn't catch anything, and Kyle throw, boom.
I cheated. I went to 2 poles, and I was digging in his tackle box. I threw Texas rig, crankbaits, spinnerbaits, buzz
He even
baits.
stole my spot.
Took his spot. I mean,
Didn't claim me for cheating because I had to go to the back of the boat. So this is another trick. He didn't catch on till late. He was a little slow yesterday on his A game. So
Dennis gets kicked out of the front of the boat to the back
where
of the
the
boat.
trolling motor's in the front, right?
Right.
So I'm up there with the trolling motor and I'm holding it because the wind is pushing us. It's a big
Right,
barge. The
right.
wind's we're wind upwind. It was his idea. Let's go upwind. Let's float back. I said,
he got the number one spot. Every new spot we hit, his lure the first one in the pocket.
No, this is what got him. So I used the trolling motor. I
Yep.
kept us up there in that spot, right? Well, he takes my spot.
Yeah,
Once I had to go put the fish in the cooler. But he forgot to work the trolling motor. So guess what? The wind
put you back in the front.
put me back in front. We started drifting down. And I started wearing them out again. And he's back there just, what is the deal?
Well, I couldn't work the trolling motor because you were casting over my head. I was a little distracted.
He's playing a little defense there.
He was. I ain't got no excuses.
Get you a little shy, a little leery of, hey, is he finna hook me in the ear and
Oh,
I got
yeah,
a duck
it
or
was
whatever.
bad. It was bad.
So while you thinking about that, instead of you pitching
Yeah.
up in that hole, he's in there pulling fish out.
And it started with that first few casts. I mean, it just went downhill from there. It took me off my game.
He just got outsmarted a little bit.
Fun time.
It was.
I don't know about
and you
that.
talking about the trash talking.
No,
too.
it was a good time, but it would have been a much better time had I come out with a win. I'm just saying.
I slept like a baby last night. I'm just saying.
Well, I did
slept
too, but
really
it's because I
good.
got my tail whooped so bad. It's like one of them when your dad pops your tail so many times, you just go to bed, cry, and go right. You know what I mean?
Go right to sleep.
Yeah,
Right, sleep.
that was my. I slept good too, but it's because that hard tail whooping I took.
Trying to hurry up and go to sleep and get this day over with and start
Yeah,
over
start
tomorrow.
over.
You may need to we're going to send you a couple dozen yo-yos just so you can help you out. About every 10 casts, you can check your yo-yos and then go back to casting again.
I needed it yesterday.
Well, we're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we're going to introduce, if you're watching this podcast, what you see us all wearing, brand new camouflage pattern from Realtree.
With the exception of me, because my camouflage pattern's covered in black buckshot mud.
Since the beginning, Browning has strived to be an industry leader in innovation and technology. Speed, reliability, and one of the lightest recoiling shotguns on the market today, the Maxxis 2. Browning, the best there is.
Guys, welcome back to Simmons Sporting Goods All Things Hunting Podcast. It's me and Dr. Duck hanging with our friends Kyle and Caleb at this great facility that has all the fishing options that might not ensure that you win your next fishing tournament, but
I was going to say, you
I think they do. I just think it was the shopper in here.
golly, I was going to say, you didn't. My fishing business isn't going to go down. Everybody's going to be like, hey, before I buy this, what was Billy fishing with the other day? Because I don't want that.
y'all had everything I needed, but
Everything's
It
here.
didn't work.
It's just the who
I
was in
didn't
here
work.
shopping. But
I
I
had
tell
a
you,
bad day.
Simmons, I'm like I was talking to a younger gentleman here in the store earlier today, is that these people around here are really, really blessed. You know, and Tyler, not saying anything bad, I'm just saying, you know, we have an academy and that's it.
Sure.
You guys have got a selection here that's unreal, from fishing, hunting, you know, boating, anything for your dog,
Food.
guns. I mean, you come in here and it's quality stuff, the stuff that you actually, I think, you need in the outdoor world. I'm jealous
Well, he's
of
sitting
it.
over at breakfast saying, man, I wish we had one of these in Tyler. And I said,
Yeah.
you know what? I do not. Because
What is
I
you
would be
big
that
broke?
guy. You know that group of old men you see at that one coffee shop all the time, every time you walk in there? I'd have my corner, my table.
the
And that's
regular.
another good point. There's no excuse to leave if you're hungry, because we ate catfish here yesterday. It was wonderful. And the breakfast here this morning was off the chain. It was
The burgers are
Yeah,
good.
good.
You know,
Everything.
they,
It's good, great.
it's a pretty broad menu. I mean, she does a daily lunch special every day during the week. Then there's burgers, there's po' boys, there's you know, salads if you're a health nut, which I don't think any of the four of us are.
Well,
But yeah, it's a big menu. All the food's great. And
For me to touch on the selection of products and to say a statement is that, you know, some stores are more interested in house brands where they make more money on the products.
Right.
They're not as interested in what the customer really, really wants.
That's
Products
correct.
that the hunter comes in there, and Simmons cares more about, like, if a customer walks in the store and he wants a certain brand, a certain product that, yes, we have it, we carry it, we don't care if we don't make quite as much money on it. And I think that's just the only way you should be.
you gotta be,
You know,
because if you don't, hey, if somebody just specifically they want something,
They gonna get
they're
it.
gonna get it.
Why not get it from you?
I drink Miller Lite. If I go in a beer store and they ain't got Miller Lite, guess what? I ain't
You're
buying
going
beer
down
there,
the
dog.
road.
I'm going to another one.
right.
So, I mean, it's perfect.
That's
scenario,
perfect.
you
That's
know?
perfect sense.
You talk about getting what you want. Not only that, but having, you know, a lot of guys are into, hey, I heard of this new product. Having that is a big deal, you know, being early at the game. And you guys, I got to admit, from what I've seen, have been pretty early at the game with these shirts we got on here today.
Right.
that's
You
right.
want to talk a little about that, Cal?
Yeah,
What
no,
you
we,
got on?
you know, this is the brand new Max 7 waterfowl camo pattern from Realtree Outdoors, and it's taking the place of the Max 5 pattern. It's a similar pattern, but they redesigned it to do a little better in certain areas than the Max 5 even did. And so we are getting to test it out for the first time this teal season, and have been very impressed. You know, teal season is a hard time to match a camo pattern, period, because everything is green,
A lot of
real
green. You could almost wear a turkey
And-
camo, you know,
Right.
a spring camo.
Right.
But like this morning, against we took panels, and we were out in the wide open. We took panels, cattle panels in front of us, and we grassed them and brushed them in.
That Cole had, I'm going to add one thing. Cole had me and Kyle digging through the briars and the snakes to find these panels because they were right where he left them last year after he got done with the last day of duck season in January. He threw them in the flume ditch right there by the – and so
and now
these,
it's grown up over your head.
yeah, they had 9 months worth of briars and vines
How do you
and
even
grass.
remember where they were?
I don't.
Hey,
get-
he's down in there. Me and Kyle are sitting there looking.
I would not. I
we
wouldn't
ain't
walk
going
in
down
there. I'm like, you're going to get killed by a cottonmouth.
And so
I'm not going in there.
Cole goes, "Hey, here they are. Hey, I'm gonna need y'all's help. Y'all come down here." And I knew what was coming. And I just went ahead and started taking my first step. Kyle said, "Hey, Caleb, you go first." I said, "I knew that was coming. That's why I'm walking that way already."
No, me and Snakes, we don't go.
Well, you know he always gets the second guy.
Well, I was going to be the third in this situation, so that's why Caleb went second.
So I'll quick tag gun Rep. The one podcast we don't invite Rev on, he's gonna roll a rolling cart through here and just
Listen to him.
making all kinds of noise down there, Rev. Making all kinds of noise. But I'll go back real quick. You know, we know Kyle's deathly afraid of snakes, and so we're sitting against a cedar tree in turkey season last year in Texas, and I had downloaded a rattlesnake audio file on my phone. Cole's on the camera. Me and Kyle are going to shoot, and so Kyle and I are sitting side by side, and Cole's behind me, and I said, "Watch this." I got my phone on the other side. And I hit this rattlesnake rattle. It goes off. Kyle turns real quick. Look, he's like,
I kind of tense
"Y'all-
up, but it just barely goes. I'm like, just for a second.
"Hey, did y'all hear that?" I was like, "We can't hear anything." Well, he's like,
I lost it. I
"Man."
wouldn't keep straight face.
"Man, that sounded like a dang rattlesnake." I was like, "Kyle, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't hear no.
He's like, be quiet, be still, turkey's coming.
Be still. Turkey just gobbled." I give it a couple seconds. I turn my volume up on my phone. And I hit it again. Hit up and out of there. Kyle come. He's like, I know y'all heard it. I know y'all heard it that time. Well, he started laughing. He's like, "Is that on your phone?" I said, "Yeah, it is. It is." I couldn't resist it. But back to the Max 7, we blended it in with these panels this morning once we dug them out of the snakes and the briars and the ants and everything, and brushed them, made a little quick brush up before daylight, and I think it blended in really well.
Shot some teal with it.
It's sexy. You know, we do more tree hunting, beaver pond, north end of Lake Slough type hunting down here, which is typically a darker setting than you're going to
Realtree
find in
timber
the fields.
is
Right.
what works for you better for what
That's
you
exactly
hunt
right.
mostly.
Exactly. But obviously, when we get up north, the Max 5 was something that we would wear and help us a great deal.
Hang on, I got customers. Right. Guys, if y'all need to look at ground blind, y'all come on. Y'all ain't going to bother us at all.
Yeah.
This is part of recording a podcast during business time.
Right.
But all they did, the one thing about it, it's almost like just like you would have in a field. They've added mud behind some of the brighter stuff, which is darkened it up. It's added some contrast that, as kind of you made note of early on, which it just fits into more spots.
That's right.
Right.
Dennis made the comment to me. It almost could go in, or you could wear it in the timber and get away with it if you wanted to. So
I think so too. They darkened it up with these darker spots. I think you can. A lot of guys I've noticed over the years is, the layout blinds. These ducks are just getting educated to some of these layout blinds, and they see a big roll. And I mean, a lot of guys are just now attempting to start laying on the ground and just not using them and hiding themselves with decoys.
Sure.
This right here, I think, gives you a better advantage to do that, because just, having the experience of hunting up north in the, anywhere from Canada, North Dakota, South Dakota, even Kansas, it's darkened up enough. I think you can probably just wear this and lay out in the field and not have to worry about, the layout.
Covering up the layout line.
Yeah,
sure.
So it just gives you a better concealment when you're starting to hunt those educated ducks. So to me, it's one of those patterns, and it is dark enough. If you had to get it, if you had to hunt in the timber, for sure, it's dark enough you probably can get away with it.
Yeah, especially like on my place, we got 800 acres of WRP on my farm, so we got some cypress trees that are about 20 years old now. They planted them in January of 2005, so I guess coming up on 18 years old cypress trees, but it's all grass around it, so you've got a lot of yellow, in that setting, and this, up against that cypress tree with the yellow grass behind you, it blends in really, really blends in awesome. And we've got the clothing from Bandit and Drake and some others, and then as far as firearms, Browning and Rattay both will have firearms here. Now I've already dipped some that I have on the shelf now. That's another thing we got.
Y'all do that in house.
The gun you shot this morning,
yeah,
was dipped by yours truly.
You are the
That's
man.
why, if you look real close, there's a lot of little touch-up spots on there. 'Cause I got a guy that does that for me. He's a lot better than me, but I can fill in and do it. So if you got a gun and you want it hydro dipped, then we do that right here in house. We've got Max 7 film ready to roll. But Rattay, they will have some guns here from the factory by October, and I think Browning's going to be a little bit behind that. And then your other manufacturers aren't making it orderable until SHOT Show, which will be late January 23. But I've dipped a couple of theirs already as well. So, I mean, I got shotguns on the shelf that ain't even hit the market yet.
Ready to go.
Ahead of the curve. You got to stay. Hey, in today's world, you got to stay ahead of the curve.
Ain't no doubt about it.
What is it that distinguishes the best? A wanting to defy reason, disrupt industry, and captivate the imagination. To be better, you should look further, dream bigger. Aspire by Bandit. Superior.
I was just prompting you to speak over there, Kyle. I thought he was going to doze off there for a minute.
Hey, I've seen Kyle. First time I ever met Kyle, we had to do some scouting, and I ran down to a big river in central Arkansas area, and Kyle went with me. I can't remember who else was there. Somebody else went with Dennis.
Daniel Thomas, I think.
Was it Daniel? Daniel went with Dennis. Kyle rode with me. First time I ever met him. We get in that pro drive, and I hit that river, and I look over at Kyle sitting on the gun box on the left side. Kyle is asleep, sitting straight up while I'm running wide open down the river, just sound asleep. He ain't leaning on nothing. He ain't got a hand down. His hands are right here. His head's down. His eyes are closed, and he is almost snoring.
Yeah, that was
And when I pull up, beach out, whatever, we get out to walk around, he stands up and like never miss a lick. And I just met him. I couldn't have, like, dude, you can like nap anywhere,
yes,
bro.
He can. He is professional. Cole's really good at it too, but Kyle is the professional napper. I don't think I've ever been in a vehicle with Kyle when I was driving where he made it more than 100 yards. And
I wasn't telling a story about winning a bass fishing tournament. I'm sleeping usually.
Yeah. He We were going turkey hunting one morning this year, and we were taking his truck. And we had about a 30. We got up early. We had about a 35-mile run from where we were staying to where we were hunting. You know, easy drive. I was like, "Hey, you need me to drive?" He's like, "Oh man, that'd be great." And I mean, as soon as he got in the truck, I didn't even have it cranked yet. He's in the passenger seat asleep.
He gone.
Gone.
I was like, we got close. I was like, "Hey, you gonna have to wake up and tell me where to turn here in just a second."
I used to try that with Dennis, you know, so I could catch a nap because we trying to get after it, and you keep, you know, the hours you keep doing this, and
Yeah.
I learned real quick with him driving. I can't even shut one eye.
That's how I am with Cole. Like, I'm scared to death.
Oh, I'm terrified.
Like I got. He'll hit the little rumble
Wiggins
strip
gives
for
Cole
a
a hard
second.
time
Woo.
too. He's like, "You don't let Cole drive, did you?" I was like, "I mean, there's a time or two I have, but he never bothered me."
Cole, the thing about Cole is Cole will hit the rumble strip and just ride it for a little bit. and so if you're asleep and you hear that, you think, "Oh, he's asleep. He's right." Like,
You don't
freaks
think
out.
he's probably doing that on purpose because you are
Yeah,
asleep.
it could be, but
Oh, that's funny.
you know, a lot of people don't see, because we can't document. It's impossible to document the grind that goes into making TV shows, outdoor TV shows, or just the hunting that you do, even if you're not filming, what you do. And especially, you know, we always trying to pack in too much. We're trying to deer hunt here, and then duck season will open tomorrow, so we got to drive across the country to get there by opening morning, and then we got another hunt that we're gonna pile on the back end of this one. And so we're tired all the time. But me and Cole, we make comment all the time, you know, that what y'all do with the public land hunting, that is a different animal
Ain't
when
no
it
doubt.
comes to sleep and that kind of stuff. And that normally we say it's a young man's game. And y'all are still young men, but you're not near as young
I was about to
as
say,
you were.
hold on, watch
Yeah.
your mouth over the next
No,
few words.
But y'all are a different breed, and we commend you on that y'all can go like these college kids do, you know, and that you're in it. And I know that takes discipline, you know, for the most part, and maybe not catching naps when you can like I do sometimes.
I had a guy invite me about 2 or 3 years ago. He's like, "You want to go to Felsenthal in the morning? I'm sure y'all may have hunted there, just right up there, not too far, right across the state line in Arkansas." And
Yes, sir.
he's like, "Man, I got a boat and a dog blind on the boat, heater in the boat. You don't have to even bring your waders." I said, "Man, that sounds good." I said, "Where you need me to be? What you need me to bring? What time?" He said, "Man, just bring your shotgun, your shells, and whatever camo you gonna wear, and I got the rest of it." And
See it.
I said, he said, be at the cross at Walmart at 1. I said, "At when?" He said, 1. I said, "We afternoon hunting?" He's like, "No, dude, 1 in the morning." I was like, "Man, I just remember I told Brittany I'd take the kids to school in the morning. I better do that so I don't have to sleep outside with the dog tomorrow night. I appreciate the invite. I'll catch you next time."
Oh, it's funny.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. But no, it's for me and Billy too. I feel like it's just a lot of fun for us. And of course, yeah, you don't get to sleep, and it's a grind. And of course, we are getting older. We're going out the door, and a lot of these young guys are walking into it, and so we just like hanging out there with them, and we have a good time. You know, we meet them, and we get to have the opportunity to meet them at the boat ramps, talk to them. We like hanging around and chit chatting with them at the boat ramp, see how they did, and of course they want to know how we did, and you know we take butt whoopings, and of course we get lucky every once in a while. We give them some too. So it's all a fun game, and that's the way it needs to be, because we talk about it all the time. You know, somehow in our waterfowl world, we lost that. Sometimes we have lost to congratulate the fellow guy that done success.
100%.
And so,
And hunting in general.
hunting in general, because if you think about it, in every sport, football, baseball, basketball, whatever sport there is, whether you win or lose, you shake hands at the end of the game.
Good game. Good game. Good game.
And then you go the next day usually, or the next week for sure, you start practicing to either get better to win the next one, or you continue to practice to stay on top. But at the end of the day, win, lose, or draw, you shake hands. And to me, the thing that's driving the waterfowl industry sometimes in the wrong direction, but I do think it's making a turn, is greed. It's all about greed. It's all about the numbers and how many I killed and how many you didn't kill. It's, we just got to get rid of the greed. And, it's like we talked at our last Delta deal. If you're worried about filling your freezer, Go shoot your deer. Go shoot your elk. Fill your freezer. Come to the waterfowl world and enjoy it. Have fun with your friends. Don't worry about the numbers and the kills.
I promise you, it's a lot cheaper to go buy pork, chicken, and beef at the store if you want to fill your freezer than it is to fill it with ducks.
Just come out there and have a good time, meet people. You know, the waterfowl industry, to me, you have a chance to meet people and make new friends, that you can communicate with, friends that you can eventually hunt with. You know, there's a lot of, it's kind of like golf a little bit, as close as golf as you can get. I mean, you know, you got a guy that's group playing in front of you and behind you. You know, you're going to catch up with each other. You're going to shake hands and introduce yourself, and that's all we're trying to do out there.
I think y'all do a great job, because you're talking about public land hunting, and I've not done a lot of it, and mainly, you know, I'm the general manager of this monstrosity that we call Simmons Sporting Goods. So a lot of times during duck season, I got to go somewhere where I can kill a few birds and then go get a shower and be here by 9:30, kind of like we did this morning. So I don't have the time to be tied up till lunchtime doing the public land thing. But you know, you hear about the fights and the griping and the this, that, and whatnot. And you guys, the way you take these younger hunters, you meet a young guy and you don't turn your nose up to, because I mean, you guys have become some I will say it, celebrities in the hunting world. I know, but you have. You got a big following. People like what you're doing, and so when a young kid sees you at the boat ramp, I mean, maybe that kid's big time into watching all the YouTube stuff and all, and they're a bit starstruck. Well, instead of acting like you don't got time for them, y'all sit there, talk to them, sometimes invite them hunting with you if you got room, whatever, and kind of show them what it's all about. And
well, I think if you try to lead by example, you know, I could think back to one example, a kid's boat broke down. He was probably 21, 22-year-old at best. I mean, he was at the boat ramp, broke down, sitting over there trying to work on his boat, tried to get out there and do some hunting. You know, I walk over and I ask him, hey, what's wrong? He said, man, my boat's broke down. I said, well, just back that thing up and get in the boat with us. Let's go. He said, are you serious? I said, yes, sir. Let's go. We're going to hunt today, and we'll worry about fixing that boat later. And that's what it's about, you know. And we had a great time. We killed a few ducks that day, and you know, and hopefully if I'm in that situation and he's there next time, he'll return the favor, and that's what it's all about.
That guy will remember that forever, and not even with you. You know, if he's leaving us somewhere and there's a guy, you know, next to him, this boat ain't going, he'll say, hey, come on, get in with me, let's go kill some ducks.
Right, and that's the, you know, that's what we try to do is try to help out our fellow hunters, you know, and also we're trying to grow our community, because it is shrinking. Whether you want, I mean, Billy says it the best. Some places are busier than others on the waterfowl world, and if you choose to go to the ones you know it's going to be a little busy, then you just got to understand you're going to get beat. And the prime example is that last year we had a great day of success. Well, day two, we just got outsmarted. That group.
It's kind of like me in that fishing tournament yesterday.
Right. They show up with a track star. The kid was a senior in high school. He ran the 400 in under 50 seconds. He can run the 800 under 2 minutes. He shows up in blue jeans and tennis shoes, and he comes over and he says, hey.
2 years ago, I think I'd have got it.
I doubt it. Anyways, he comes over, he introduced himself, and he says, hey, I'm just going to let you know you're not going to get the hole today. And I said, I looked at him. He said, and then he told me what he did in track. And I said, well, you're probably going to get it, but I'm still going to make you earn it. Of course, he was like a little gazelle going through the woods, and he
smoke it.
He smoked everybody. He got there, and he was standing there waiting, and I walked in the hole. I shook his hand, and I said, I hope you kill them all today. You know, and that's just the way it is.
That's the way it should be.
That's the way it should be. You know, it's nothing wrong with that. And of course, we got beat to B hole. We got beat to C hole, and we had to go to a plan D that we had to just make up on the fly. Didn't even have a plan. So we ended up hunting a mud hole. And actually, there wasn't enough water in there to float a decoy. I mean, actually, you had to stick the decoy in the mud to even make it sit up straight, you know. And it had a little bit of water underneath it. And we still had good success. We still come out of there with 30 ducks. But
well, Caleb, I want to thank you for the compliment and acknowledging that.
Well, I think it's something to be said for the way you guys do that, and you know, showing the younger generation how it should be, other than, you know.
Well, like you said, as busy as, not just you, but we all have been at that point. You know, I had kids. I was in management with a job for a long time, and when I got the opportunity with Dennis and we go hunt, I wanted to enjoy that time.
Right.
And all hunting gets very competitive. And somewhere along the lines, people forget how they should be treating one another. And
Yes.
And I don't look at you get out there. That may be your only day. Maybe you went to Felsenthal that day. Maybe he said, "Hey, maybe all right, I'll get out there at 1. You just come on, slide out at 3, and we'll hit it." You show up that day. You got that one day that you're gonna hunt public. Maybe the whole season.
Right.
For some Jake leg to come in there 30 yards from you guys, shoot all your swing birds, the odds of you coming back are not very good.
No, not at all.
And having to get up early, having to maybe not get to work at a certain time you'd like to be there because you wanted to enjoy this experience today, and you get out there and you got to go through all that. You could be a guy that never come back to public hunting. And if for some of these young kids that are just getting into it, they might not have a private spot that they could go to. We didn't.
Right.
And they're coming out for the first time on their first duck hunt, and they run into a guy in the hole, which happens all the time. And this guy said, "This is my hole. You ain't hunting here today." And you need to listen when I say you really don't need to hunt here the rest of the year. You need to go somewhere. That kid, he like, "Man, forget this. I ain't hunting no more." And that's one more guy that is not on our team.
That's right.
Whether it's you hunting ducks over there, us hunting ducks over here, you chasing ducks and deer and hogs and elk and all the things you chase over there, we all on the same team at the end of the day, and we need to act like it. We need to treat each other with respect, and I think it makes everything better.
Exactly right.
I mean, that's it.
Exactly right. Well, fellas, I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, we appreciate
joining us
y'all.
on
Enjoyed the
podcast.
hunt together, and hopefully before the waterfowl season ends, we'll get to hunt together somewhere.
Oh yeah, we had a great time this morning. We gotta
Heck yeah.
do it again.
I'm gonna bring the grill next time.
Oh,
You
see,
you sit down there on the end with me.
I'll be next to him. Me and him, yeah.
Sit next to the fat guy when it comes to the groceries.
Well, just
to the
don't let
cooking
him
and
participate in the cooking because he
Oh,
can't
come on.
cook.
Oh,
He
Worse
can't-
Here we
he's a
go.
He
worse
can't even
cook than he
fry-
is a fisherman.
He can't even fry an egg.
Oh man, he's cutting you deep. There,
We're gonna
Billy.
talk
You're gonna
about
have to
this
redeem
later.
yourself.
I
Guys, we
appreciate
appreciate
you
y'all
guys.
listening. Appreciate y'all being here.
Thank you, brother.
Bye-bye.